Hi everyone. Um, Nice to see you all. Nice to have you all here. We're just going to begin, and we're going to let everybody else join in as time goes by. I am going to give a quick run through of why we're here. I believe a lot of us here have a sense of what we want to do here and what we are expecting from this event. I'm just going to quickly give us an intro, talk us through some of our speakers, and just quickly tell us what we are expecting from this event here today. So a quick intro. My name is Victor Ekwealor. I work in the technology and innovation space. And over the last 12 years, I have worked in startups, I've worked in innovation, I've not worked in technology. But one of the threads that have run through my career has been events, physical events, virtual events across Africa, the the Americas and Europe to a very large extent. Now, sometime recently, I started having a conversation on go-to-market strategy for event tech companies. And one of the things that came out of this go-to-market conversations was the realization that there was not a lot of cohesive understanding of what innovation looks like in the event tech ecosystem, in the event space. Now, from a practical use case, there is a huge difference between technology as we know it and innovation. Technology has infiltrated our everyday life where we all have gotten very desensitized to technology. We use technology, we have computers, we have our smartphones. That's a lot of technology. You know, we use co-working tools, emails and everything. But however, when it comes to innovation in its true self, new technologies, groundbreaking, cutting edge innovation, there is not a lot of that conversation, awareness of what is going on in that space for the event ecosystem and value chain. Now, this is ironic when you think about it because in the last 5 years, 2020, the event value chain or the event ecosystem was very pivotal to how innovation has been thought about. Before the world caught on to what needed to happen during 2020, if we remember the amazing days of COVID and the world being on lockdown, the event industry was very instrumental to how we all came back online, the spirit of companionship, of togetherness. But today, there is not a lot of awareness, conversation around innovation for that space. And for the last few months, I've been talking to a lot of experts in the space, a lot of people that work in the space. And one of the things I've realized in our conversation is that there is a need to have these conversations that I was having in my LinkedIn DMs on a broader scale. And that's literally what we've done here today. Bring some of these experts that I've talked to, bring a lot of people together and say, what is happening in this space? Now, we have a couple of hours, 2+ hours to run through this event. And the conversations we need to have are very in-depth in that they need more time to talk through them. However, what we want to do here today is to provide some sort of introduction, to provide some sort of basis into how these conversations will be formed. And this hopefully is the first of many of these conversations. And we're going to have a lot more of these conversations going forward. And we are going to be very much intentional about involving everybody, whether you're a part of the technology ecosystem, whether you're just interested in what is going on, whether you're building for the event tech space, or you are involved in one of the technologies or cutting edge technology that is pivotal to this space. We want to bring everybody together and to learn, like we said, network, connect, and share. So today we have amazing speakers, and they're going to introduce themselves as we go, and they're going to talk to us about some topics we're going to learn. Now, the amazing thing with events is that you get to a certain point in your life where events become a very, maybe meh or very perfunctory activity because you sit through some of them and like there's nothing that's being said here that I don't know. However, the beauty of things I've learned, again, events over the past decade, whether as an organizer or an attendee, is the fact that I go to an event and I want to take away one very key insight. Just one, a minimum of one. One is okay. Some of it is very pivotal to changing how we think about our career, how we think about work, how we think about our lives. And I've gone to a lot of events where I've taken away one of these kinds of insights that have shaped how I think about life, how I think about my career. So saying this to say that please, if it's one insight you take away from this event, if it's one thing you take away from this event, that is okay. That's as good as can be. And as we get through this conversation, please paste your questions in the comments, the chat section, and we're going to take them and ask them intermittently through the sessions. And if you have any other concerns, please do mention questions, concerns, please put them in the chat. And please follow us across all our social media handles, because we are going to have more of these conversations. And I imagine that a lot of people won't be able to sit through all of these events, which is fine too, but we want to be able to send you messages, send you emails about what has happened in this event if you are to leave before the event completes. Thank you very much for having you around. Thank you for coming around. Thank you for your time today. And to avoid talking more than I need to, I'm just going to let the experts start. To start us off today is Elaine Delfino. Elaine is an senior event manager at the FT. And I'm just going to allow Elaine introduce herself and start us with her keynote. Thank you very much. Please let's give a virtual round of applause for Elaine as she comes in here now. Take it away, Elaine. Thank you.
Hi, sorry. Thank you, Victor. I was unable to unmute myself. Thank you, everyone. Let me share my screen. Hope I will be able to do that. And I will start. Yep. Can you all see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine. As Victor said, I work for the Financial Times, the event arm of Financial Times Live. That is a global event arm of the Financial Times. I have been running events, all types and formats of global B2B events for over 15 years, from São Paulo to Singapore, from London to Beijing. Pick the country, I was probably there at least once. I dealt with last-minute speakers, dropouts, alarms in the middle of panel sessions, double book venues, event tech, disasters 5 minutes before going live. You name it, I have been through it. But this past year has felt different, because for the first time in a long time, I have started feeling like I have a co-pilot, and that co-pilot is AI. Now, I'm a bit of techie, but I don't code. I am one of those people that get super excited about new apps every week, but I like things that work, things that save time and energy. That is what today's session is about. I'm going to take you through a few stories, nothing theoretical, just honest lessons from events that I have actually delivered, and where AI has helped me to do my job a little bit better. Sometimes that help look like saving me 2 hours on a day. Other times look like saving me from a burning out. And in a few moments, it gave me that extra lift that helped me create better events. That is the power of it. That is what I want to share with you today. So, event people are natural juggers. We can all be spinning 12 plates at once. But just because we can do this, it doesn't mean we should be doing this all the time. For so long, we have been stuck in reactive mode, always behind on timelines, trying to do too much, even and with very few hands to help us. So AI for me has been about take some of the mental weight off, give me some quality time back, and make me a more proactive than reactive professional. Here is one simple example. It sounds very simple, but it changed a lot of my daily routine. I used to spend a good few hours creating spreadsheets with over 100 speakers lower thirds for a summit, 1-day summit, 2-day summits. Normally, that means manually copy and paste type names, titles, company names, checking spelling, matching everything against the agenda, cross-checking with comms plan. It was detail-heavy, repetitive, and stressful when you are already running in very tight deadlines. How AI come in hands here? I built a very solid prompt. I fed in the agenda, and it generates the first draft with all the lower thirds perfect on a single spreadsheet. In seconds, honestly, seconds. We proofread everything, of course, as we always do, but we didn't have to start it from scratch. Here is the best part. I keep reusing the same prompt across every single of my events. One good prompt creating a couple of focus hours saved me days, honestly, maybe even weeks of repetitive work. It wasn't just efficient, it was a game changer. It gave me time back to focus on strategy, cost saving, support my team even better. With small wins like this, repeated across planning, comms, and delivery, that stack up something bigger. It helps shift the role of event management back to where it should be, not just a logistic machine, but a creative and a strategic lead. And let's be honest, the event industry is at tip point. We are expected to deliver bigger and better with tighter budgets and leaner teams. If we are not tapping into tools that can help, we are just making life harder, and that should be. I remember a few years back when I heard first time about AI and how we would going to change everything, I thought, yes, right, let's just wait and see. At that time, AI meant scheduling tools or overlying enthusiast chatbots. But things starts to shift quietly. And I remember the first time I used AI, a small AI tool. I used just to summarize a meeting bullet points and actually work. Then a well-drafted prompt could help us turn 5 messy event briefings into an on-brand social media post in minutes. Then came personalization. We can use platforms today that takes audience registration data and build individual schedules, matching sessions to their roles, sectors, goals, something we used to do manually with Post-it and guesswork. That is when clicked. This isn't about the future. It's about right now. It's not replacing us. It's just boosting us. And it's not just for the tech companies or giant experts. I have used many AI tools for 15 people roundtables to 500 people summit. So the question is no longer, should I use AI? It is, where can I start? Because here is the truth. AI won't take our jobs away, but if we're not using it, that might take our jobs away. So we are in a moment where staying still isn't neutral, it's going backwards. I don't say that to scare anyone, but I say because I have seen how quickly this shift is happening. So take one step at a time, educate yourself, educate your team. Try one tool, test one prompt, talk about what worked, what didn't work. Break down the fear is low, but keep going. This isn't about becoming AI experts. It's about staying relevant, efficient, and confident in the face of change. The tools have changed, and our mindset has to change as well. So here I want to break down few tools that I believe can make a real difference. There are many, but I can't list everything. So These are the ones I really like, and I think it is very helpful as well. So far, first, the chatbots. How you can have an AI chatbot that answer questions like, which sessions should I attend next? Or can I get a recap of the keynote? The chatbot will not program just to respond. It will guide people to what they need. The engagement in your platform goes easily up, making the event better for attendees, sponsors, and it is always about personalization these days, relevant content, and precisely matchmaking. The second tool I really like is the writing tools. One power thing you can do, and I have been exploring this very often, is create custom GPTs for your team needs. It can be training on your company or event tone or voice, understand your target audience, and align with your messaging goals. Either it's for agendas, emails, speakers' intros, or social posts. So instead of starting from zero every single time that you need to put an agenda together, for example, your team can use it to generate first drafts that are already in the right tone and direction. You still edit and finesse it, of course, but it takes the heavy lifting out of the process. It speeds things up, keeps your message consistent, and helps everyone feel more confident about what they are producing, especially when we are. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. I've been trying to send you a message. We can't see your slide. Sorry to break into your thought process. I've been trying to avoid that, but we can't see your slide. Yeah, we see the notes. We see you clicking through the slides, but we can't see the actual slides themselves. It will help if you could, yeah.
Let me try again.
Open it in a different window. I'm sorry, I was trying to not butt into your thought process.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, apologies.
Let me just stop sharing.
I like how detailed the notes are and how very particular they are. That's a good touch.
But, yeah, let me just stop sharing.
Yeah, I think you should present it in a different window.
Yeah. 1 second. Can you see now my slide?
Perfect.
Yeah?
Yes. Thank you.
So, yeah. Where I stop on the, let me just go back. I stop on the writing tools, yes. So if it speeds things up and keep message consistent. So it's the kind of tool that doesn't just save time, it raises the quality of your content across every touch point. The third one is the matchmaking. There are platforms out there right now that use AI to power smart attendees matchmaking. So instead of handing attendees badges with job titles and companies in bold and hope for the best, you are helping them to walk with a purpose, knowing who to talk with and why it matters. So for sponsors and partners, this means more meaningful conversation, better lead quality, and clear return of investment. It takes the pressure of networking part of one event and makes the experience feel curated and valued, not random and overwhelming. That kind of tech just improves the event experience. It helps delivery on how you promise stakeholders. And the fourth is the dashboards. There are many AI or few AI-powered dashboards available now that can track AI engagement in real time during your event. For example, they analyze things like session attendance, interaction rates, chat activities, and even dwell time in the virtual part of the platforms, giving you instant insights of what is working and what's not working during the event. Imagine being able to see mid-event which session is creating the buzz and adjusting your spotlight, or just pushing content on live momentum. For a sponsor, this means smarter and placement and higher visibility. For content team, it means better feedback and agility. Instead of waiting for post-event reports to make sense of impact, you can make more informed decisions while the event is still helping, and you can, where possible, switch and change your event flow together with the feedback you receive from the platform. None of these are dramatic shifts, but add up. It changes how we plan our events, how we work, and how we deliver. And that is how I love AI. When it works well, it fades in the background and just helps to get the job done. Of all the tasks we deal with in events, let's be honest, there are a lot. Some of the most draining are the repetitive and time-consuming ones. You need to forecast, budget, find the right venue, in the right seat, in the right price, at the right layout. You are juggling procurement, legal, contract, invoice, approval, and that all happens before you even get into content or experience design. These parts of the job often invisible, but they are big energy drain, the ones that eat our hours and push our creativity to the bottom of our to-do list, day after day. This is where AI can quite make a massive difference. With well-written prompt or custom GPTs, training on your event needs and your tone of voice, you can take back control of your time. You won't replace your role, but it can remove the grunt work and help you focus on what actually moves the needle. One of my favorite examples of this was using AI to help find a venue. Anyone who ever tries to book a venue in London or really anywhere in the world knows how painful the process can be. You search, you send out dozens of emails, wait for replies, find out that half of them are over budget, or they are not available, or they just don't feel right on the paper. So venue source has always been one of the most exhausting parts of event planning for me. I spent days searching, emailing, follow-upping, and even then, half of the venues didn't fit, and they were too expensive, or just venues just ghost me completely. So I had enough, so I tried a different way. I use AI to prompt for myself a proper prompt. I describe the type of event, the tone I want, the capacity, the budget, the location, the preference, the AV needs, even things like breakout areas and natural light. In seconds, it returned a list of venues that were actually useful and not just the same old hotel ballrooms. It surfaced places I would never consider before: converted warehouse, hidden rooftop, cultural spaces. This can easily save you days and back and forth with venues. But more importantly, it can give you time to think about the event differently. Instead of worrying about either you'd get the place, I had time to think about how I'm gonna use the venue, how to flow the people through it, what the content could feel in that room, how the space would shape the energy. That is the difference. It moves me from admin to strategy, and I will never go back to the old venue search way I have been using for many years. So let's talk where things are going. Some of it sounds a bit out there, like science fiction, but it's happening faster than we think. There are platforms in beta right now that can outclip highlights from live sessions and generate short-form videos, ready to post on LinkedIn before the event ended. Imagine 10 viral codes already ready, designed, captioned by the time the drinks reception starts. Others are going on emotion recognition tech. Sounds a bit weird, I know, and freak people out, but it could help us track live reaction in a room, subchanges in facial expressions or body language. It can tell us how people are feeling during a keynote or breakout. It is early days, and yes, there are ethical questions, which I will cover next slide, but the potential for understand our audience in real time is huge. We are seeing copilot tools for event designs. You enter your briefing, your audience, your objectives, and it suggests the session structure, possible themes, and even random layouts. It's not going to replace an experienced producer, but it's like having a super assistant with you available all the time. The main thing I want to say is this stuff isn't years away. A lot of it is already here. We are already using, or will be mainstreaming in the next year and a half. But it is not it's not a big but. You don't need to adapt everything at once. You pick what fits your style, your team, your audience, and most important, your budget. Stay curious, test few things, and figure out what actually help you do your job better. That is the only metric that matters. So here we need to pause because AI is exciting. I love it. I get super excited with everything I receive a new newsletter with something new for me to test, but also comes with big responsibilities. We are working with real people, real data, real human emotion. And as tempting as it is to click, generate, and move on, we have to go slow and think. Are we using attendee data responsibly? Are we reviewing what's been created before sending it out? Are we being transparent with our audience about what is automated? To keep things ethical and human, we need to build some checkpoints into our workflow. Nothing complex, just habits that help us to use AI responsible. For example, before send anything AI generation into the world, ask yourself, has a human actually reviewed what you're sending out? Does this sound like us? Has your tone of voice? Are we feeding it fair, diverse, and accurate data? Or could it just be reinforcing bias without realizing it? It's not about adding layers of red tape. It's about being intentional. These small steps build trust, keep our messaging clean, and make sure AI is supporting our values, not compromising them. One small thing that you can start with, for example, with your own team, flag AI generate elements internally. So everyone knows what has been created with help of AI or what has been created by a team member without AI. It's not about slowing down or overthinking. It's about building trust with your team, with your stakeholders, and with your audience. Because one thing AI can't replace is trust. That this has to come from us. It's all, I know that everything feels a bit overwhelmed, so let me simplify here. You don't need a huge strategy to begin. You just need a small experiment. Trying to use AI to write your speaker email or draft your event invitation. Use this to help you negotiate with a supplier, compare long proposals side by side, or even improve the way you are briefing your production company. You can also use AI to summarize attendee feedbacks or quickly turn bullet points into post-event surveys. That are small things, but they free up time and headspace fast. And once you start, you're gonna realize how much time you have been spent on tasks that could be automated or simplified. You can use AI to summarize long event reports, something that normally take hours, reading, pulling out key points, formatting into a slide can now be done in minutes. You still need to review and refine, but the heavy lifting is done for you. It's a smart way to cut through the noise and get what you actually matter and fast. Another tip, involve your team in an early stage. We create and share, for example, internally now with my team, we create and share prompt library. We create and share a prompt library where anyone can drop prompts they create and test it. No pressure, no expectation, just share learning. The more people feel part of the journey, the less intimidating it is. And if you are worried about getting wrong, don't worry. That means you care about what you're putting out there. Mistakes will happen. We are all learning. But the key is test in low-risk areas. Learn fast and adjust. This isn't about perfection. It's about momentum. So that is a little window on how I have been using AI in my events. Not in theories, not in slides, but in real meetings, real platforms, real deadlines. Some tools have worked brilliant, others not so much. I have tested things that flop completely and others that surprise me how simple it is to use it. But every time I learned something. Every time it helped me see the job I have done for years in a new light. And the biggest win, I don't feel is as stretched as I used to. I have got more space to focus on what actually I want to spend my time on. Creative ideas, content shaping, rethinking how we design experience that people genuinely remember. AI hasn't taken anything away from me. It has added capacity, clarity, and headspace. It's given me time back that I didn't realize I was losing it. And that is what this is what I want for everyone here today. More space to lead, more time to create, and more energy to bring and to spark a room with your events and your rooms when you're running it. Because despite everything AI can do, it can't replace the human part, the instinct, the emotion, the intuition we all bring to the table. So if you can take anything from today, I hope it is. You don't need a 5-year AI strategy. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to start. Pick one thing, one tool, one prompt, one small experience. Try it, break it, talk to your team about it. The key is the momentum, no perfection. Because AI revolution isn't coming, we all know is already here. And either it's a wave you ride or that knocks you over, it's entirely up to you. You have got the power to shape how it fits your team, your events, and your voice. This isn't someone else's challenge to lead, it's yours. And I can't wait to see what we are coming up in the next few months. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Please, let's give a virtual round of applause to Elaine. Thank you very much. This has been very useful and insightful. I think, like, to a very large extent, your presentation, your approach to employing AI is something that can be applied across board, regardless of industry, regardless of use case. It is a very holistic approach to thinking about AI. Thank you very much, Elaine. Greatly appreciate your time. One of the things, to a large extent, that I have thought about over the last few months, or maybe 1 year, because the progress of AI has been exponential, coming forward, has been how overwhelming all of it can seem. And one of the things I do, and it's something you just mentioned now, is taking it one step at a time, not trying things, testing things, trying tools, trying prompts, learning, watching videos, looking at how other people use it. And in the business context, like you mentioned, one of the things I found that has been very helpful when I work with a team has been collating efforts. So I like your idea of pulling prompts together. Is something I'm going to steal. And I mean, if anybody is here that works with a team with AI, please feel free to steal that idea. But I think it's amazing, put teams in one place, put prompts, and see what everybody is able to get. So one thing I've learned to a large extent is that what any large language model will give you, large language models being ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or whatever tool you're using, the output you're going to get is very much going to be dependent on the input, which a lot of times is the prompt. And your ability to create a great prompt is going to determine the quality of response you're going to get. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you again very much. So some housekeeping for people who are just joining recently. We are having this conversation here. You already have, if you sign up for this event, you already have a sense of what we're trying to do to a very large extent, and it is understanding innovation in the context of the event ecosystem, the event industry. And if you're joining us, welcome. A lot of the conversations we are going to be having here are introductory. Just this Elaine's presentation alone is enough to take 4 hours if we go in depth into it, because there's a lot to unpack. There are a lot of questions to ask, a lot of things to find out, even for me that use AI tools. Now, most of these conversations we'll have here will be introductory because we're trying to save time and ensure that we get as much introductory insights as we can. In the next few weeks, we're going to send out insights, just broken down texts as emails from this conversation. So we're going to send it to you if you're a registrant. No spam, no bombarding, no nonsense. Please feel free to unsubscribe if you don't find any of it useful. But we're going to send Elaine's presentation with her permission, of course, then send insights from these conversations across to you. I have put a link to our social media platforms here. Please feel free to follow us and follow us, give us a shout out on social media, and let's keep these conversations going. Again, it is very important to note that some of the things we're trying to cram a lot into so much time, and we might end up not doing a lot of hours here just to avoid virtual event fatigue. But yes, we're going to run through as much as we can in the time that we have. So without wasting any more time, we're going to move into the next session, which is immersive experiences. And we're going to be talking about how AR and VR is transforming audience engagement. I'm very excited for this particular segment, mostly because of the transformation power of the technologies, but secondly, because of the speakers that we have. And I hope that, I don't get carried away and spend so much time asking them questions upon questions. but we're going to try as much as possible to get as much as we can in the short time that we have. So this is a panel discussion, and it is on immersive experiences and how AR/VR is transforming audience engagement. We have 3 speakers, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a bit. I don't like doing introductions for people, so I will just let them talk about themselves and how they're comfortable, tell us how they describe themselves. Before we proceed with that, please follow us. The link is in the chat section, and most importantly, while these conversations are going on, if you have any questions, put them in the chat section, and if we have time to ask the speakers, we can just put it up, or we can include it in the insights that we send out after the event. Please put your questions here. And yes, I'm seeing one question from Drove. Yeah, very long questions. We already have a question for David, and it's very interesting considering that David hasn't even spoken anything. But yes, I like the attitude. Thank you. Keep the questions coming. Again, like I said, we'll try to ask every speaker a question or put these questions up. But if we're unable to do that, we will put it in the insights that we will share on social media or via emails. I'm just going to jump right into it. And the objective of this panel, to a very large extent, is to delve into the transformative power of AR and VR for creating immersive and interactive event experiences. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of this event, for those that were here, the event industry has been very innovative in the last 5 years. 5 years being the amazing anniversary of the events that we all do not speak of, that shut the world down. And one of the things that have brought us together has been the power of AR/VR in creating immersive experiences. And whether we are in virtual spaces or we are in physical spaces, I've seen these technologies applied across both mediums. And we are going to let the experts, or I'm going to let the experts talk about these things, ask them a couple of questions. Again, like I said, I'm excited. Please ask questions as they talk, and let's get started with it. We're just going to do intros first, and as the lady in our midst, I'm just going to let Andy go first. Andy, please.
All right. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. I'm Andy Fidel. I'm a creative XR producer and founder of Spatial Networks. Essentially, I design virtual events and experiences for remote teams and global communities, and have been doing so since 2015, so I'm heading up my first decade. I coined the term spatial networking back in 2016 because essentially I was exploring this new medium and what it means to integrate VR and AR into our event experiences, into our brand experiences, and how this new technology is empowering more connection and collaboration. And so essentially my mission and what I do with brands and enterprise is to make our digital experiences more immersive, more engaging, and ultimately more human.
Thank you very much, Andy. Pavan, please go next.
Hey, I managed to, excuse me, unmute quickly enough to not cough before the unmuting. So, hi everybody. Nice to meet you all, virtually at least. So, my name's Pavan Kanwar. I'm from a background of computer science and user experience. I'd say my 3Ds like design, development, and data. Most of my work was 2D interfaces, BI tools, analytics tools, consumer apps, mobile apps, stuff like that. And then I had an offshoot of my dissertation, which was an idea that crossed both the physical and the digital worlds. I was actually brokenhearted during lockdown that we couldn't do physical events. And as much as I then qualified in Unity Engine with Circuit Stream in Canada and tried to become a 3D designer, what I realized is my heart was really in real life events and meeting real human beings. And whilst we're meeting virtually today, we hope this is just a foundational thing where eventually some of us might meet in real life, right? And so we have to have some hybrid between the two. So my focus essentially was to then switch from a full focus on mixed reality, and Andy will probably need your help with that stuff, is our focus is augmented reality, and that's kind of where our skill set is to be able to build back-end technologies that enhance an event's ability to improve the audience experience, to improve the connectivity of the audience. There are 300,000 people in the same room, in the same stadium as you, and you're never going to be able to connect with more than 20 or 30 of them. in the 2 or 3 hours you're there? How do we change that? The event organizers have no visibility over audience movements, over audience true passion. Were you there at Glastonbury to see Elton John, or were you there to see Damian Marley? Oh, we don't know. Well, it's 2025. We should know intimately what our users want. Elaine mentioned something very important, personalization. So that's my introduction. We'll come back to that. One of the key things that I'll be contributing today is how a use of data in the world of XR and VR and AI can personalize the experience in a way that actually empowers your attendees or empowers your artists. So we'll come back to that. Sorry if that was a bit long. Forgive me.
No worries at all. David, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello. So my name is David, and I'm in the field about 10 years, same as Andy. I'm, by the way, a big fan of Andy's work because like it's really, really exciting to see other creators, and like the field is really, really exciting for me. It's like whenever somebody asks me what I do, I say I work in IT, but I work in the fun part of IT. I'm not working on some backend system for the bank. I work in the really nice visual aspects, something new, something exciting. And 7 years ago, I started Studio Yord, which is focusing on it's an agency which is focusing on creating this experience for the B2B and brands. And we are creating everything from interactive museums to B2B trainings, but also the events. And how it was already mentioned, like the golden era of the virtual events was happening 5 years ago, and everybody hated that part. But yeah, it went through the evolution, and it's interesting to see how these like digital aspects combined with the hardware kind of like have to go through some cycles and through some evolution to find the right amount of the technology for everybody. So yeah, this is what I do, and I love the creative and technology part about it, and kind of like this combination. And yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, David. Nice to have you all here. I think I'm going to start with, I guess, the exciting. I'm going to say, what recent breakthroughs in AR/VR are you most excited about for live events? Or just are you most excited about, whether live events or virtual events? What is the recent breakthrough that you're most excited about? And please go first, David.
Sorry, I muted myself and then I wasn't able to redo that. Yeah, like to be honest, like it's kind of funny, but it's the AI, because like we were using multiple solutions for outdoor or indoor events with the augmented reality or tracking with the cameras and everything. But we usually kind of like run into the problems with the software and what we can achieve with the hardware. And right now with the AI, we are able to run the custom networks which can track the people, which can connect the people, and it's kind of like what Pavan was talking about. And this is for me like the biggest breakthrough, because like we were right now doing the one like really cool event, and we were able to leverage these technologies.
Okay, thank you very much. Andy, what cool things are you excited about?
Yeah, for me, I mean, AI is I think it's going to come up everywhere, especially the idea of like little AI agents. Like, can I have an AI just like meet everyone at the conference, have a question, and then I get all the results, and I get to pick like the debate or conversation I want to have. And then, I mean, my heart is in VR, but I do have to say I've been really surprised with like these new AR glasses. I'm loving my spectacles. And I love this notion of like, can I hack a space? Like, can we just graffiti all over the place? Can I find other people? Can I like engage with people on site or off site? But I'm liking like finally getting away from the phone. Basically, I don't want anything in my hands. I want a pair of glasses. And because the world shifted post-COVID, like we had this whole like everyone was on VR and digital, and then the pendulum went to like, you know, the other side of energetically, right? Like now we're all about physical. but we could still bring some immersive play. So I'm just going with the flow, going where people want to be and want to do. And so if people want to be physical, then great. I'll pivot and shift into AR and bring some immersive play there.
Great stuff. I think the last point you made is in line with what Pavan had mentioned prior, which is like, how do we connect? How do we connect? How do we put things together? But before we go into that, Pavan, what are you most excited about in this space?
There's like 100 things. To bring it down, I think we're all very, very aligned with AI being central to our ability to achieve what we want to. In whatever way, I loved that vision that Andy just articulated. David has huge alignment also in the work that he's doing, clearly with events. So I'm going to have to speak to both of them, some mentorship afterwards. But essentially, the personalization and the scalability that's now possible. One of my key technical mentors, one of my old bosses, when I showed him the ideas 2 years ago, mate, how are you going to do it? And it took me about a year and a half. I said 2 letters to him, AI, bro. And now AI is, and he smiled at me because he knows that now we can do things, for example, I won't go into any of the stuff that we're working on, except to say, imagine hundreds of thousands of devices feeding data at once, the challenge, the petabytes of data that you would be uploading if you didn't have AI to organize it. And then AI to help to create interactions, personalized interactions with every artist or with every audience member throughout the process of them signing up to the event, prior to the event, being at the event, and then post the event. And as a user experience designer, I kind of visualize journeys. Now these journeys are going to be completely different at events to be caught up with the future. We're not going to just walk into an event and necessarily put our phones away. If we've got our glasses, we can. But as the years move us towards the glasses, I think we'll be using both phones and glasses for a good while to be able to enhance the experience there, to digitize the experience. And one last thing I'll say, Facebook had a lot of its success because it digitized something that was in the real world, right? It was a physical book, and you couldn't track when I checked out somebody on that page and somebody on that page. So the foundational success was the digitization of something in the real world that then could be trackable and optimized. That's going to happen throughout a lot of real world events that want to keep up with the future, I think. So I hope that's a well-aligned answer with the rest of the speakers. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much. So we're going to move into an aspect of the conversation that I've seen you all mention very individually, that we've talked about very individually, and it's something I know. So I got my first headsets almost 10 years ago now. And I remember that I got it because I worked as a technology journalist at the time in a past life. So I got it as a complementary gadget. Now, everything being equal, I wouldn't be able to afford that headset at the time, right? Not on my salary, not anywhere, but I got it for free. Now, this somehow ties into the hoops of being able to, the challenges, resource challenges of being able to use immersive technologies, right? And I'm going to start with you, David. What are some of the major technical challenges that you think, you reckon, like people, and when I say people, I mean non-technical people, people that work in events, would encounter when trying to incorporate immersive technologies?
I think like it's a hardware cost, or like have to have some reasonable, powerful hardware which can be distributed to all the participants, because like we're experimenting a lot with the phones, but that's kind of like old world, like the 2D devices, and we are trying to see the 3D world and augment the world through the 2D devices. And like I think like the big breakthrough would happen if there would be like really lightweight, cost-effective devices which can be afforded. Like for example, if you go right now for some big concert, or you go for Formula One race or something, you get some like already interactive bracelet for communication and everything, and it's kind of like this consumable thing which can, I don't know, they don't care if you forget it, or you will pay just $20 for it or something like that. And if we get something, some devices, either consumable, which can be distributed, or something which can be kind of like already adapt from your personal devices, that I think like would be much more comfortable for the events and kind of like would drop this challenge.
Okay, thank you very much, David. So, Andy, Coldplay, they are one of my favorite bands. I know people love them, but I love Coldplay so much. They use this reusable, environmentally conscious LED wristbands, and they've been using it over the years. I'm still asking you the same question, right? There's a lot of technical, what's the word, barrier. There's a lot of technical barrier. It's immersive. When people think immersive technologies, they think all of this very expensive equipment, all of this very difficult way. If you're going to talk to somebody in this audience today that is thinking about incorporating immersive experiences into their events, what would you say to them?
Yeah. In all, I mean, David talked about the hardware challenges, and I want to put another one, access, which kind of goes with hardware, but it's not about getting just the hardware, but it's like, which hardware do you have?
Yeah.
Some people have a certain brand, and that brand is actually a closed garden, and you can't play with the other ones. So we're niche, and then we have niches within the niche, and that's just not helping us. So one thing I really encourage creators to do is to really pick and choose their platforms, which is also, in a way, a sense of voting, right? Like, where are we putting our content, our time, and energy is who we want to support. And so we're seeing these platforms that are interoperable. Like, if you pick a platform that's only open to one pair of headset and one device, you're going to get less people than if you pick a platform that's actually doing the work and doing the effort to be cross-platform, right? Like, take platforms like Rec Room. It's VR, it's console, it's mobile, it's PC. Or places like Village or like Engage that are actually doing the work to get as many people on board as possible. Like, even if we're in 2025, most people have not tried VR outside of a museum or like a roller coaster. Like, they don't even understand the concept of bringing people together and having real people with real presence with you. And so as much as people kind of like put these really big numbers for budgets, no, I've done events that have had 25,000 people come, and like, it was nothing. It was like a world that I did with like other creator friends. We popped it up, we opened it up, we had cool people come in. There's opportunity. Like, I love creators that really kind of get in, and it's going to go with the question we had at the beginning, like how to get started. Come in, show your work, start exploring. And I feel like the community here, we're really lucky. As much as we have all these challenges, it's like one of the most heartfelt communities there, because we're all kind of crazy enough to be in this space. And there's no manual or textbook on how to get started. So you'll find that people are very willing to collaborate and to co-play. So
cool. Thank you. So before I get to Pavan, if you can hear me, if you're in this call, if you've experienced VR, please indicate. VR, AR, any immersive technology, whether in the context of events or real life or for gaming or for play, please indicate. Just raise your hands. Yeah. Okay, cool.
We got a headset.
Yeah. No, I think I saw you in the beginning of the conversation, just playing with your headset. That was very cool. Okay, so Pavan, I think my question for you is more cost related. Now you said something when we're about to begin, which is that we have our hypothetical audience of or event of 100,000 people, and in this event, you are able to physically connect with 20, 30 people. I imagine this is a very niche conversation, or because not everybody will have 100,000 audience event or whatever, virtual or physical. So this is like a very niche example. But just in terms of cost, what does that look like genuinely? Just thinking about it.
Firstly, I'd say even if there's 100 or 200 people, you're still only going to chat to 10 or 20 in a day. So there's a limit to the richness with which you can interact with the amount that you can reach. So there's a concept in e-commerce. What's your richness and what's your reach? What's the richness of your relationship with the people that you met that day, prior to that day, on that day, and as a consequence of that day? If that day doesn't lead to consequences, to deals, to relationships building, then there's no real tangible benefit. So it's not really about the numbers. That's the first thing. It's more about the richness of your relationship with the people that you meet, either in the virtual world or in the physical world, or somewhere between the two. Then the reach is kind of where the quantity comes in, right? In terms of costs, I believe that if you use third-party services to build your technologies now, so like we have AI wrappers using multiple LLMs to solve a specific problem. That's really important where AI is concerned. How about we take that same wrapper type thinking in AI and apply that in XR, which is probably what a lot of David and I do in the world of building stuff, is we'll use Google AR Core, and we might use Niantic. These technologies and access, at least on a technological level, are getting better because of people like Niantic and Google on the back end for developers like us. However, on the event side of things, if you want to go and start developing solutions, you would stick to Elaine's sticking to your basics first. Use third-party tools, dip your toes in the water, see what kind of things are sticking dependent on the questions or the queries people ask. But those are just queries in an LLM. You can use those and connect rich code data. You can connect code bases to multiple services, whether that's Google AR Core to make your AR work, or whether that's YOLO to make your facial recognition work. But you need engineers to be doing that. So where the industry is going to change and provide more access, I think Facebook and Apple are doing a great job. I think Facebook's done the best job in providing affordable devices. That's just unparalleled. He's the next Steve Jobs, Mark, in many ways. And that shouldn't be underestimated. That guy's amazing. However, Apple being so closed means I'm hoping people like Google and then that magic HoloLens from Microsoft that no one ever gets actually come to the forefront. And if Microsoft and Google come to the forefront, the access thing will be fixed. But that was Andy's answer, and it was a really good one. If I can try and add value beyond the concept of access and cost, it's that you use third-party services to build your solutions, but I wouldn't go and start spending 300 grand on a development outfit unless they're as good as David and they can guide you without ripping you off. So you need to do your research. And David will be able to see this. He's been listed in the top 40 or top whatever amount of suppliers in the world. And that will show you there that there are a lot of suppliers, but vet your suppliers first is one, if you're going to build your own solutions. Two is the new AI, the new software as a service is AI. So if you're going to build truly personalized, truly scalable solutions, if you go and use other people's solutions to do the work for you, like with social media broadcasting, which is something relevant to us, a great tool is HubSpot. We've learned a lot from what they do. But you wouldn't go build your own social broadcasting tool when HubSpot exists, would you? So for the same reasons, you should be looking at what products are out there or emerging out there, such as the products that Andy creates, to throw your team into a spatial place with an expert guiding you through from beginning to end. And I'm not selling Andy's services here, just trying to keep away from my own. So without coming into my own project, don't do things alone and don't do things without somebody that's been immersed in the industry for as long as Andy and these guys have.
Okay.
That's how you'll manage your costs. Don't build stuff from scratch yourselves if you're not designers and engineers and you don't have a cross-functional team like David does or something. Okay?
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much. Andy, tell us a bit about spatial networking. I think it's very fascinating.
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of the backstory where that word comes from. I come from journalism as well, and then there was no work there in my early 20s, so I shifted to marketing because it was all about storytelling as well, and I was really good with visuals and with content creation. And so I fell in love with social media, and it's funny, I think a lot of times brands and clients relate with me because I'm not that techie. I wanted to be a poet under the bridge, and I was against computers and didn't have a smartphone up until early 2012, I got into social media and I fell in love because I realized I can connect with people around the world, and it wasn't just through like journalism. I can actually connect with other human beings. And so social media, the most important thing about social media is social networking. And then the word that we all agreed upon way back when and came back around was spatial computing. And so spatial computing became spatial networking. And so essentially, you know, it's just to give like a highlight to this new medium, which has nothing to do with social media. It's way more, I think it's way more with heart. I mean, there's nothing better than getting a virtual hug. It's the next best thing when I can't do it physically. And so it's just a social network built in a 3D space, and it's powered by immersive tech. I do teach the 4 principles of a spatial network, which also leads into like how to create a good experience. And number 1 would be embodiment. Not to forget that people actually embody their avatars. So you want to enable that and give people some goodies, like how can it relate to your experience or your event. Shared reality, the notion that we are all here in real time. So play with it. You can have a firecracker in the sky and everyone's going to see it, and that's really beautiful. Engagement, right? People can talk verbally with text, and then most fun is with the body language, right? Is someone leaning in towards you or someone like leaning back towards you? You can kind of get a vibe of that. And then impact. The fact that, you know, when you high five and you have emojis going out, everyone can see it. When I was in Altspace and I've got a little troll in my heart, I would put things on fire, or put some emojis, or put some balloons, and it really animated everyone. So I realized, you know, all these components together, like, you can make a really big impact, whether it's an event or an experience. You can actually inspire people, you know, shock people, educate people. You have this connection that you just don't have on Zoom and on digital. It's just like the extra layer. I always say VR and physical have way more in common than digital. Like we respect and value the same keywords, which is why I feel like online you're seeing all these physical events wanting to be immersive and interactive. And actually we kind of share the same values. And so I invite each, you know, spectrum of the event industry to look into what the other person is doing, because there's a lot of keys here that can be shared, and especially respect to people who've been doing events on site for so long, people coming into the virtual scene. Look at what works in the physical and how you can enhance that in your virtual experience.
Thank you very much, Andy. So David, I'm going to come to you now, and this is like building off of Andy's point. So in your experience, how do these technologies, how do they measurably enhance audience engagement and storytelling in your experience?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, I think like kind of like the immersive technologies and the storytelling kind of goes hand in hand, because like I always tell, like you can have whatever technology you want, but if you don't sell it with good story and good kind of like environment and everything, it's nothing. And especially like when you see these immersive events and for example, like for me, one of the first kind of like big immersive event, which was like kind of like about the story, was also the Gorillaz release of the first song in augmented reality. It was all about like kind of like we are releasing the new technology by Google, but we are also releasing the new song, and we are kind of like also shifting the paradigm, because like we are telling, okay, you are here on the Times Square where there's like thousands of screens and they cost like millions of dollars to rent them for a few days or something. And then they came with the technology and with the story, and they kind of like overlay it and say, with the song of the Gorillaz and with the technology, this real environments and these commercial thing doesn't matter. And this is kind of like one of the best story connected with the immersive technology I experience, and I'm really like big fan of this with this use case. Yeah, so that's one way, and then you have this kind of like these, I would say, the immersive technology is enabling you to become the storyteller on or every participant of the event. You don't need to be the host of the event. You can be the creator. You connect to the space and you create your own booth, or you create your own music there, or you connect it, you share it with the other people, and it's not limited but just the avatar or the like the rigid avatar which is kind of like running there and posting, or some like chat rooms or something. And yeah, this is, and for this, like, it's kind of like connected to the previous topic, but I really love these combinations. And for example, like right now there are tools and we are experimenting with it to kind of like combine these events and to be in a real environment, have the AR glasses and see the virtual avatars which are kind of like roaming around the room and the venue, and the other people can see the real people through the cameras and through the like spatial scans or something, and they can like kind of have this virtual presence and have these stories told across the oceans, and kind of especially combine these digital people with the real people.
Interesting. I think I love the interactive element that blends real life with, the virtual. There's a movie I love so much. It is Captain something and the City of a Thousand Suns. I don't know if anybody has seen that movie. It's like one of my favorite movies. It's a sci-fi space movie that, just demos a space market. And it's a lot of like interactive. If I remember the name of this movie before we're done with this session, I won't share it with everybody, but it's like a very exciting movie that, as David was talking, I was picturing it in my head, because we have this long stretch of desert, but we have this long stretch of desert, and we have people able to interact with markets across different places. It's a very lovely sci-fi movie, but it's my jam, and I love it so much.
I think it was kind of like Dimension. It was other Dimension. It was kind of like Valorian or something like that.
Oh my God, yes, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Suns. That's the movie. Yes, David, that's the movie. I love that movie so much. I think everybody should see it. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Suns. It's an amazing movie, and it is one of the like many movies I've seen on immersive technologies that very much exemplify how these things look very futuristic, but exemplifies how we interact with immersive technologies in real time. And yes, again, more housekeeping going forward. Please follow our handles, and just some updates for everybody on the call. We have a speaker for the blockchain segment running late, and I'm very much going to love to round up this event before we can't afford to wait for the speaker, but we're going to, like I said, send out more insights and send you follow-up for events or conversations that are more specialized. Today's a Friday, so I imagine that everybody wants to do Friday things, get to rest from the week. So we are not going to stretch or wait for the speaker. So we're going to round up this as quickly as possible. But we're still on these conversations, and please, if you have any questions for David, Andy, or Pavan, leave them in the chat section, and we'll pick them up as we go. Okay. One thing that people seem to always talk about or say, and this is something that that has been repetitive in all of these conversations that we're having, and like I mentioned, without being too technical, the question we're always trying to answer is, how does a normal, and I am a layman in this context, right? Because I don't have any technical capacity. I just know how things work from a user perspective. But one of the things that people have a lot of confusion about, and it's a conversation I've seen come up in the many conversations, is a point I've seen come up in many conversations I've had over the last few months, is like, how do we successfully merge real life and immersive experiences without breaking the bank? Pavan spoke very much about not doing too much, especially when you don't have the capacity or when you don't have an in-house team. But the question that keeps coming up, or the point that keeps coming up, is how do we merge real life with immersive technologies? Now, a lot of people are not big fans of virtual events anymore. They want physical events, they want real life connections, which is amazing. But in these real life connections, there is still a need for immersive experiences that amplify the experience to a large extent. So Andy, in your experience, what is the best practice or best approach for a layperson or a layman to what's a good framework to think about merging real life and immersive experiences?
Okay, and 2 points. One, like I said, my background isn't in tech, so I really love to use a metaphor. Tech for just tech is a blinking light. It's expensive. I don't really need it. And sometimes when I ideate with my developers for things, we're like, we don't need that to be tech. It's just a fishbowl and just get people to, pick out some place. So like really, like where is the technology enhancing the experience? Like in what parts does technology, VR, AR, bring about something in the experience that you could not do physically and you can do better? And then number 2, I love my agencies, okay? I really need them to work, so please don't stop hiring me. But I see a lot of brands and companies go to agencies that know nothing about our technology. And so that's just a middleman that's taking a huge cut. Like there are amazing creators and amazing startup, like micro agencies that actually specialize in this technology. And so just stop going to these really big motherheads that know about digital, know about marketing and social, but really know nothing about us. And I tell people, at the end of the day, you didn't come through me, but that agency called me anyways. But you know what? Looking at the budget and what's left for me and my team, I'm not going to take it. So
Yeah.
I do encourage brands, go on Instagram, go on social media, find the people that are actually knowledgeable and know how to do this, and maybe even have like a scalable solution, right? Not everything you do has to be custom. A lot of us have templates, have things that we can reproduce for you. And then start small. I feel like people have all these like really big ideas. They're like $500,000. And I'm always like, well, what if you commit to 10K with me or 15 and see if you actually enjoy this experience? And most importantly, did your audience, like what ROI did this actually have for your business? So take it step by step. Don't wait, but I also don't advise to spend too much money either.
Good idea. Good points. Pavan, I see you want to say something. I see it in your face. You want to say something.
I was actually just thinking Andy said it all, but can I add any value to that? That was
Please.
Brilliant. Well, thinking about what both David and Andy said, working maybe backwards, did you get any ROI on what you're going to do? Can you forecast a return on investment on what it is you're about to spend money on building? That's the first thing. I love that. So thanks, Andy, for everything you just said. I won't try and repeat it or run back through everything Andy said. I'm going to watch this again and just write notes. But David also built up this beautiful image, right, of you being at an event and you're virtually you're at the physical event, physically in this room, but I put my glasses on, or through my screen, I'm able to see my cousin who sat in Mumbai. Like what? Like literally to be able to see him and put his beautiful face in front of me here. There is something beautiful about the virtual world because I miss his gorgeous face. The only thing is I can't pull his cheeks, right? But that image that David built is everything that we're working towards. So then how do you do that? Put a toe in the water is one thing. The other thing is we're worrying about costs. We're not thinking of ROI. And now Andy's brought us to ROI. Now we're thinking, all right, if I spend 10 grand on this, will I make 100 grand back? I grew up in a school uniform shop, guys. It's like if I bought this T-shirt for 50p, can I sell it for a fiver? Life is that simple. And we shouldn't overcomplicate things, right? And if you can't sell it for a fiver, don't buy any more T-shirts. Similarly with technology, if you can't find a tangible user experience or you haven't got users begging for what it is you're thinking of building, don't build it. The new lean way of doing things we've known for years is to get a small amount of customer validation with a small amount of customers that are so crazy about what you're about to build, you know that they'll tell everyone once it works properly. In the meantime, dip toes in the water. In the meantime, back to ROI, we're talking about 100,000 capacity event or whatever. Whatever the capacity of the event is, imagine you can get 10% more tickets sold online. Like, hello, yo, the whole world is out there, right? And not everybody can come physically to your event. So yeah, there's 100 people here, but actually there's 300 people from Goa and from Namibia that are making inquiries. Why don't you just let them attend the virtual experience that you've built? And it could be 2D. We could be like Rec Room or like Roblox, where you can do it on your phone as well as you don't need the glasses to have a virtual experience. You don't need the glasses to have an augmented reality experience. We all have high quality iPhones and Google Pixels and Samsungs I'm surrounded by on this desk and an Apple device. We all have very high quality chips in those devices that can run AI offline. That's a big thing. So that is where I'd round off, is your return on investment. If you're able to show that your customers are compelled by this idea that you do X, Y, Z at your event, or your artists are excited about the fact that they want to provide that to their audiences, then you've got something. Touch with them, we've got something as pre.vü, and David's got something, and same with Andy for sure. Andy's been testing this for 10 years and still got traction, whether we're in lockdown or not. These guys have still got traction. People still want a virtual experience. My CTO is currently in Australia, and the timings are terrible. He's going back to San Francisco just so our timings are synced. But we would happily meet in a virtual space every day. I'll put my Oculus glasses on for 2 hours a day, that's fine. So I can see him sat around the desk. Okay, so it is happening, but it's just a matter of having more Mark Zuckerbergs in the world making affordable devices and less Apples making £1 million devices that only somebody's on 100 grand a year is going to spend, right? And I even know when I was on a respectable salary, I was still kind of like, I'm not going to swear on this call, but Steve would be riling in the grave at what some people are doing with his company. Poor old Steve Jobs. Make it affordable. Mark Zuckerberg's the only one doing it, and I think that comes back to Andy's point as well. Access. Okay.
Thank you. David.
Yeah, great point by Pavan, because like that was kind of like what was happening 5 years ago. Everybody thought everything will be digital, and they kind of expect everybody will want to wear the VR headset on their meeting. Like the VR headset is perfect if you go to interact with the friends, play a game or something. But most of these stuff are happening in 2D sphere, and it's totally okay, like to join the world, to Horizon or whatever meeting space from 2D interface. And then there's the other level, which is kind of like what is happening right now, like even with the communication, like you want to lower the barrier. So even like the best case scenario, it's a web-based variant which will allow you to join the event, especially if you are going with the masses and you want there thousands of people. You cannot require everybody to have the VR headset, and you cannot require everybody to install the application. But on the other hand, the VR experience is kind of like this holy grail. Like you kind of have this immersion scale, and you can pick, I'm joining from here, or from here. And we are having the similar, we are sharing the experience, and we are just immersing ourselves on the scale we want. And this is kind of like important. And when in the ages of the metaverse, it's like 2021 or so, there was like so much failed startups which couldn't understand it, and they were like kind of like, yeah, everybody will have the VR headset, or even worse, there was people who were designing the spaces which are only suitable for PC VR, and it was kind of like you need to have the powerful PC to join our Unreal based metaverse, which is super nice, but like the scale of the people who can join it is just a small amount. And it kind of like goes with this kind of like this triangle, metaverse triangle, I call it. It's kind of like you have the visual fidelity, you have the scalability, and you have what's the third one? Scalability, visual fidelity. What's the third one? Interaction. And you have these three.
Okay.
And you can either go with this Unreal based super cool thing, and you kind of lose the scalability, or you go with these simple based, web based, and you kind of like losing the quality, or you go with these kind of like more more like limited amount of the interactions, kind of like being in the static world, but you have a nice avatars, you have the nice environment. And that's the same also, like the fourth part for this is kind of like the pixel streaming, because like I think like the pixel streaming is changing these technologies and what can we achieve, and kind of like the holy grail is that we will get into the stage that we can run these Unreal Engine super cool metaverses from any browser from fraction of the price. So yeah, sorry for this kind of like going sideways, but this was really big topic back then, and I invested a lot of money and efforts, and I had so many clients meeting where I had to explain them that what they want is not what they want because it doesn't make sense. And yeah, and it's in general like whenever I'm talking with a client, like usually like my first question is, and wouldn't just a simple 3D room with the desktop access do the same? Why you want the VR?
Yeah.
What you bring into the table? Like, I love VR. I love to do the VR, but it needs to have the cause there, and it needs to have the like really, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that retrospection. Very interesting perspective. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat section, or you can actually indicate, and if you have time, I will allow you ask your questions in real time. Like I mentioned earlier, our speaker is running late, and we are not going to wait because today is Friday, and I would like to round this up for everybody to take back the rest of their time. We're going to send out insights from this event, broken down and properly analyzed in messaging, emails to everybody that has registered for this event. Please feel free to unsubscribe if you don't find it useful, but I'm sure and I hope you will find it useful. We're just going to round up this particular session and head towards this event with the last question. And I just want three of you to touch on this a bit. I think the question is just very straightforward. Like, how do you see immersive technology evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, especially for the events industry? And I mean, I know that we are all in agreement that, you know, AI is going to exponentially change things. But if you could speak like more specifically on how you see this technologies evolving in the next, 5 to 10 years, Andy.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think AI is going to change things, but ultimately AI is going to make us value things that are human. My background is in copy editing, and you will never catch me with a typo. But now to show that I'm human, I'm actually putting typos, which is like breaking my heart every single time. Essentially, I think our world is hybrid. I'm not really sure about the phygital world. That sounds like some kind of pasta. But hybrid, like how can companies extend their experience? So, trying to do things at the same time is cannibalizing, ticket sales and people's attention. Cool. What about a pre-conversation? What about a post-conversation? What about like a half birthday, an unbirthday? Like your events in June, you have a virtual one in December, so people keep thinking about you. But essentially, I see us like we talked about, had fun in the chat here. It's a spectrum of reality. And so we're going to be able to choose how immersed we want to be. It's not just about access and, being able to travel all over the place is a privilege, but it's also about time. I think we want to spend more time with our family. We want to spend more time with our local, like resources and communities. So, I don't always want to travel all around the world, even if that, that privilege and that opportunity arises. So I think it's about giving people a choice, and whether it's work or it's entertainment or events. So try it out. Don't see it as like this scary thing, like, oh, virtual events and digital events is going to take over, which it might quite well be because it's a really cool experience. But find ways that it can complement your user journey. Yeah, that's my advice. Go and try it. Don't be afraid of the technology. If anything, it's just going to make you more global, which is the direction we're going to. So.
Okay, cool. Pavan.
Hey, yeah. Again, great answer. Hard to give an answer after that, but let me see what I can do. the future is definitely the glasses. That goes without saying, right? Is that we're going to have, all of us are going to have glasses, and that's what they're pushing for. But that's just in terms of solutions. What about socially? Well, socially, again, I'm kind of riding off Andy's point here, which is there's a lot of people I'd like to be in the same room with that are on different parts of the planet. So all my wife's side of the family are Mumbai, America. All of my side of the family is mainly UK and Punjab and Delhi. So how do we get in one room? Nobody's going to buy flights to the same location, even if all of us were wealthy enough to do that. The virtual space is something we're all going to catch on to. Now, if I said to you all, let's get on a 2D Zoom call like we're doing right now, right? This is cool. This is still the way of things work. And this will be necessary for a very long time. However, imagine now we all just literally, Scotty in Star Trek beams you down into the same room. That's what it feels like putting on the Oculus. You're beamed down into the same room, and now everything I see around me is the people in that room. It's nothing else. That's a lot more present as far as Eckhart Tolle, however I'm supposed to say that lovely man's name, is concerned about being in the power of now. Well, okay, cool. If I put my glasses on, I can be in the power of now. And my cousins in Mumbai, and my cousins in Punjab, Africa, wherever all my relatives are spread out, Kenya, yeah, there's some there left still. How do we connect? Unless we use a virtual environment. The only solution is a pair of Oculus. And it's not even the AR goggles that I'm going on about, it's the VR goggles. So once those become more accessible and as easily affordable as me getting refurbished Bose on the Bose website, you get some refurbished Oculus soon. I mean, I'm a bit of an old man, right? I didn't realize all the cars that I drove 20 years ago are all classics now, all of them. I'd be better than Bitcoin. I'd be sat on so many classic cars, you have no idea. I'd have a bat cave. I sold every one like an idiot. So now if I time warped into the future, I'd know all of those pre-70s, 80s cars I was driving that everyone was laughing at are now classics. So what does that mean about the Oculus? That means my nephew can buy a really good car for 200 quid these days. My car had rust holes in it, first 100 quid car I bought. He can get himself a nice 2-litre hybrid or something for 200-300 quid these days because so many cars are depreciating so quickly. So what does that say about our Oculus devices? I'm stuck on the Quest 3, right? Everyone's got the new one. I haven't, not yet. So what does that mean? Is that I'm going to be putting that on eBay at some point when I can get the next one. So gradually the accessibility again will just completely change everything. And I do feel that we will all find ways of, like we did during lockdown, of connecting in much richer ways. And that again requires a 3D environment in which you can immerse yourself in the click of a finger without a drug.
Okay, thank you very much, Pavan. David, I have some questions here, and I have one question for you specifically, and one question for Elaine. So this is for David. It says, what do you see as the biggest barrier to implementing these technologies in smaller events? I think we've touched on this, but like the person wants you to answer this question anyway.
Yeah, like I think like already mentioned, but yeah, I think like it's cost efficient of the devices and in general the devices itself, like, and like it's connected because like we were, for example, launching events. We were launching like the concerts also, like the similar to Gorilla's Money with the phones and everything. But again, like you need to go with you need to have the accessibility. For example, like if you want to do the big event, you cannot have this with the application. You need to have it through Ekwealor or something. So kind of like this cost efficient and accessibility of the device is kind of like the biggest issue. Yeah. But we will see. Like I still say like we are kind of right now in the weird sphere of 100 years where we perceive the 3D content through the 2D devices. Like if you take it like before movie and film, everything was 3D. We were seeing it 3D, and then there's this 100 or 120 years gap, which will be remembered like the 2D era. We kind of like transformed everything 3D to 2D devices to kind of like, again, reproject it to 3D in our brain. And I hopefully right now begin the second phase, which will be again with 3D. So this is kind of like, yeah, we are still waiting for the 3D devices, and we are waiting for the lightweight devices. And that's kind of like, if you go through the bus or tram, you see the people are looking at they are already living their metaverses or things, but it's so much uncomfortable. Like, you are bending your neck, you are seeing it, you are trying to grasp the things, but it's kind of like so limited. And like, we just need to transfer the phones again to the wearables, because like phones, like original design of the phone was holding it next to the ear, and the original phone to modern one is like really still familiar, because like it just has the bigger and bigger display. We are not doing a revolution, we are doing evolution. And kind of like Apple tried to do kind of like revolution, but it's not there. They don't have the drive they used to have. So we will see. We are waiting for some player which will bring something which will be usable for masses, affordable, and then we will unlock the whole potential.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So Elaine, this is our last question, and it's for you. So this person has written like really interesting prose, like really long, but I think the point they're trying to make, and I'm going to summarize because of time, is that they say you've had a very amazing presentation, and there's a lot of things to take, but I think it's back to what I mentioned earlier, that a lot of the factors can be a bit what's the word? A bit, and I'm summing this up right. But basically, they're saying that, well, how can traditional event companies start transitioning to these innovative platforms with AI? So this person is not a very techie person, and their concern is like, how can a traditional event company, transition to these innovative platforms with AI? That's the question.
Yeah, as I mentioned, it's a process and it is slow. So you need to see what you're looking, what fit for your events, what you really necessarily need to from AI. You don't need to buy the most perfect 306 platform when you're running events that are very small and don't require so much. So the transition is about knowing what is out there, knowing what fits for your audience and for your events, and how, and I find the most hard part of it, you educate your team and make sure that they are using what is out there in the most efficient way, because there are barriers, and the barriers I have found at the moment are internally. It's educated and make sure people are accepting what is out there, accepting that the needs and the attendees requirements are changing, and how we embrace this as a company overall, because it's not just get on a platform from the shelf and put there when everyone is not ready to use and to accept that.
That's very conclusive. I agree with you to a very large extent. I think that there is an overwhelming factor to AI tools where there's just so much happening. It feels like both, FOMO and being overwhelmed. Where it's like, where do I start? And the advice I always give people is like, is a less better articulation to what you just made. Like, you just summed it up perfectly. But it's like, just try things, try tools, see what works for you. The power of what you can do with AI isn't just like trying tools, testing out things, getting better at it, feeling at it. Again, I think my biggest takeaway from your presentation, me personally, is pulling prompts. I think that's a brilliant approach. Find a shared resource or a shared place to pull prompts, put everybody's prompts, test to see what works and refining it. Because again, getting the most out of an AI tool is a function of prompting.
And then, Victor, when you reach something and said, oh, I got everything I need, then another need comes up. And then you go out there and see what is out there to fill my need, because I this I did already.
Yeah.
And then you go, and the needs are coming, and the technology and the AI, it's so fast, you can't keep up anymore.
Yeah.
So I would say, let your needs drive. Let the problem drive the solution you need. Let the problem raise your needs. Let the problem decide what is out there that will fit, that you solve your problem, instead of just buy the solution without the need for it.
Okay. Cool. Thank you very much. We're going to round off now in a bit. Do any of the speakers have any final thing they want to add? Any last thoughts? Just indicate. If not, we are going to round up here today. Thank you very much for everybody that has come. Thank you for sticking around. So this event, to a very large extent, is very much quality versus quantity. If one person takes away one thing from this event, one insight that helps them better apply innovative technologies, better understand how to think about it, we've won to a very large extent. Please follow all our speakers on social media. David is always posting very interesting stuff that I find, very amazing. Andy has amazing events every time that, again, I'm always looking at it and I'm just like, yeah, this is cool stuff, and I'm going to attend more of those events. Pavan is always sharing great stuff, and I'm looking forward to pre.vü, like rooting for it is just such an amazing thing. So please follow all our speakers on social media. Elaine is sharing stuff. Please follow them, ask them questions, connect with them, connect with most people in this call. Again, the conversation is about innovation in the space, right? And most importantly, follow Innovate Events. In the next few weeks, we'll share insights, we'll share stuff, we'll share events, and we will hopefully take this outside Zoom, do more physical meetups in like different places, different spots, just brings people together, nothing complex, and do a mixture of, immersive and in real-time events. And I'm looking forward to meeting every one of you soon at different points. The world has become a very connected and global village, so hopefully that happens sooner than later. But yes, thank you, everybody. Expect emails and follow-up from us. Please follow us on social media, share insights, actually share things you've taken away from this conversation. It's going to help other people to a very large extent. My biggest takeaway, I've learned a lot, and like my head is buzzing. I'm going to come back to watch these videos, of course, because I have to create content from it to share with you and everybody that has registered. But I've learned a lot, just like me coming here thinking I know stuff. I've learned a lot, and I hope that everybody has gotten something out of this conversation. That being said, thank you. See you again very soon, whether in conversations or in real time. See you, and thank you for coming here today. I'm going to give you back your time to do Friday things. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone. See you next time soon. Oh, pictures. Hold on. Andy wants to take pictures. Andy? Okay, let's do it. Yeah. Thank you. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. It's been real. Bye.